Yo, what is going on, Guardians? J-Man here, and today we're making a build for the Season 17 Crucible meta and beyond. This week kicks off the annual Guardian Games event where Hunters, Warlocks, and Titans are attempting to prove who is the ultimate class in Destiny 2. And while everyone is enjoying some intense competition and sweet trash talk, this year's Guardian Games brings us a new aggressive frame SMG called the Title. The Title actually got me extremely pumped for Guardian Games this year because it comes with a brand new, unique origin trait, Classy Contender, which actually grants class ability energy with weapon final blows. Now this is actually huge because in my opinion, class abilities are the most lethal tools we currently have in our Guardians kit. It allows Hunters to dodge and go invisible, Warlocks can pop a rift and activate Child of the Old Gods, and Titans, well, they can place down that barricade, overshielding not only themselves, but also nearby allies. In fact, the Titan aspect Bastion was deemed so powerful that the Bungie gods themselves increased the base cooldown from 53 seconds to a whopping 82 seconds. But that's not really going to be a problem anymore thanks to the Title SMG and the Classy Contender origin trait. As long as you can hit your shots and snag defeats, you're going to regenerate your barricade that much quicker, giving you and your team even more overshields. And this is why I believe that the Void Titan paired with the Title SMG can potentially disrupt the meta even further than it already has. Before diving into a breakdown of the Title's base stats and perk options, I wanted to reference Bungie's longest TWAB in the history of all TWABs. That was released back on April 21st and addresses nearly every weapon archetype in the game. If you have not read through this weapon-focused article yet, I highly recommend doing so, or at least listen to your favorite creator break it down for you. First, high stability SMGs are actually going to have 10% more flinch resistance than hand cannons. And I'm comparing to hand cannons because that's like the competitive meta, right? But now we're going to have to make some choices depending on how much we want to reduce flinch in primary battles. Second, SMGs will have an airborne effectiveness stat range from 0 to 30, and again, we can compare this to hand cannons' range of 0 to 25. So certain SMGs will actually be more accurate than hand cannons while your feet are off the ground. Lastly, Bungie is also making some changes to zoom on SMGs to diversify which submachine guns feel viable in the Crucible. And this is good for the Title's sake because it's going to rein in obvious options like Multimach and Shiuras. And in addition to these zoom changes, SMGs will also get an increased damage falloff by 1.5 meters. So in general, I think submachine guns will feel pretty good next season, thanks to solid flinch resistance, in-air accuracy, and some added range. So let's talk about the Title itself. First off, I'm using the stock roll that drops with Grave Robber and Vorpal Weapon from the first quest completion in Guardian Games. I tried farming for a better roll, but apparently this year's event is bugged at the moment and is not providing us with additional drops. But even with this mediocre perk combo, this thing ain't bad. I definitely found myself holding my own in shorter ranges and enjoyed the body shot forgiveness that aggressive frames provide. The personal god roll that I'm hunting for is actually small bore, high caliber ricochet rounds, perpetual motion, and moving target. Small bore might come as a surprise, but I want both stability and range for better flinch resistance and damage drop-off. And you're gonna want a god roll for this thing if you want it to perform competitively. While the Title doesn't feel bad, if we compare base stats to Ikelos SMG in the same archetype, the Title is getting beat across the board. So the real appeal here is the Classy Contender origin trait to refresh your class ability even sooner. And while that bump in regen is small, I was definitely feeling the positive effects of increasing the amount of overshield barricades I had available. As far as aggressive frames go in general, I actually like the RPM of 750. It's not overwhelming to control recoil like 900s, but also a little more forgiving than 600 RPM SMGs. I think what you'll have to get used to is its range, which isn't the best, and this actually influenced the remainder of my build. Because I was getting so up close and personal, I actually opted to use no backup plans and a Wristwalker kinetic shotgun. And there's a bunch of reasons for this. 1. No backup plans creates a solid synergy here because it's another way to grant overshield. I often found myself tickling enemies with the Title and then would clean up the scraps with Wristwalker to get overshield while also refilling my melee energy. Now, if you know me, I'm a sucker for slug shotguns, especially Duality. But I opted for a lightweight pellet shotgun in prep for Season 17. Bungie has made it clear that they want to reduce the number of one-hit kills in PvP starting next season. And this is happening by reducing both damage falloff and aim assist on all shotguns. So my thought process here is, if shotguns aren't going to one-hit kill as much, I want to use an archetype that's going to allow me to get that second shot off faster than my opponent. And that's why Wristwalker felt pretty good here and will feel even better after the sandbox adjustments thanks to a plus 30 to airborne effectiveness from no backup plans. And lastly, since I'm not on Dune Marchers, the extra speed boost that lightweight frames give helps fill that void. So for the final verdict, is the Title SMG and this Void Titan build the meta for Season 17? Maybe, maybe not, but it's a great way to constantly have Overshield at the cost of a weaker primary. Perhaps with a better role this will change my mind, but I will say having the ability to hop around with Wristwalker with solid in-air stats sounds great. Not to mention, we'll be a tank with near infinite overshield. I'll also be keeping an eye out for additional weapons that can potentially drop with the Classy Contender origin trait. Folks, that will conclude our video for today. If you enjoyed the gameplay, please help a brother out with a like. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the Crucible.